We have one of the funniest, most unbelievable, multi-hyphenate, crushing the career women to speak to right now. You might know Judy Greer from Everything, and I think is really hitting home as an entrepreneur and an artist and a comedian and all those things that show that life is full of awesomeness and surprises. Hi, Judy.
Hi.
Come on in.
Oh.
I'm not like texting. I have my questions.
I'm fine
on here.
if you text.
Yeah,
I
should
can
we just
talk
do that?
without you.
Yeah, I know you can. That's what's so weird. I don't feel like there's much. This is what keeps happening. Is I have amazing speakers who really don't need to be prompted. But let's just jump right into like body parts.
Yeah, I have them.
Yes.
I have all of them.
Are they in there?
They're all there.
Does we got into uterus, fallopian tubes, clitoris, vagina, vulva very quickly yesterday.
Oh, cool.
Very
I love
quickly.
that.
Yeah, a lot of people laughed. But,
they left?
No, not really. But I don't think we'll get sponsored anymore. So you've gotten, I love listening to you speak in various forums because I feel like the way you're talking about our kind of whole life health and how we enter, I don't want to say enter this time or any of the cheesy.
I heard the term midlife space.
Okay, space. I'll take space. I think back half.
Midlife space. Okay. Yeah.
I don't like that because
you don't.
I like midlife.
Yeah, I actually liked that term. I heard it yesterday at my panel. Someone said it, and I kind of liked it. I was like, oh, that's I liked it. But then I guess there's research that show that women don't like midlife or middle-aged. I don't know. I'm like, and then I get torn about it because part of what I want to do with this company that I'm here talking about called Weil is to sort of erase the stigma of these terms and these words as we're growing older and getting into our 40s and 50s and 60s and stuff. And so I was thinking in the beginning, I'd like to change the words. I'd like to find new words. But then I realized let's just embrace the words we have and let's not make them, let's use them for good and not evil. And so that's what I've decided.
That's okay. So you just that was like a great example of catching, I heard middle, I heard maybe something close to age, and I was like, oh God, that means unattractive, unemployable, just not reduced value. And I think it's because of the words. And I think you're right that maybe that's me.
But everything that you're saying, which is how I often feel, is all about how I'm perceived and how other people are seeing me and not about how I feel. And so what I think is so important right now is that we start trying to make ourselves feel better, not continue trying to be something for society, for our bosses, for our work, for our family, but for us. And so when I've been sort of in this space now for a year. We launched our product a year ago.
Let's talk about Weil. So in case anyone doesn't know what it is, we'll do that.
If you don't know what it is, you can go to weilwoman.com and look at our products and take a little quiz. Who doesn't love a quiz? I used to do them by hand in magazines. Now we have the computer. Hi, I'm middle-aged. I don't know any of my passwords. Anyway, but you could take a little quiz. Anyway, so I was approached 2 years ago by a friend and entrepreneur who was like, hey, there's this crazy white space out there where no one is making products for women in their 40s and older, and we feel like this is a market that there's so much need for this. And I couldn't have agreed more. They started making some products. I started taking them before I became a partner with the company, and they really worked for me. We have 4 different supplements. They are made with herbs and adaptogens, and they are to sort of pave the way for perimenopausal support, menopause symptoms, things like that. We have 3 tinctures that I love and 2 powders you can put in. I put them in a hot tea. You can put them in a smoothie. You can put them in water. I guess you could just put them in your mouth dry if you're into that kind of thing. Yeah. One time I thought about it because I was like, I don't want another cup of tea because I'll be peeing all night long, but I didn't do it. I did put it in the water.
You could snort it?
You
smoke it.
That could be triggering for some. I don't know what you did in college, but I have not tried smoking it.
Okay, so your journey with a capital J written in cursive to...
Cursive. That's aging us too.
I know. It's
my kids are like, I can't read your letters because you write cursive.
It's such a thing. Okay, so, but you you. I know, and I often preface this with like, I am in plenty of ways privileged and should be educated and work in women's media specifically with a lot of angle towards health, and yet didn't know what the fuck to do once shit started falling apart.
Yes.
So you had, I think, not to paraphrase it that way, but your experience of symptoms that were difficult to address.
Yeah, I was starting to feel like not myself in my, like a few years ago, early 40s, working on a TV show, and I had this really incredible costumer on set. Her name is Susie, Z-I. That's how cool she was. Yeah. She was like a rocker chick, and she worked on Sons of Anarchy, and so she had like really cool leather jackets and boots and stuff, and I was like complaining to her about all these weird mood swings I was having and insomnia out of nowhere and forgetting things. And she was like, oh honey, you're in perimenopause, and I immediately told her to go fuck herself, and was like, I need a new costumer. Anyway, but she was right. And so I'm like, I go to my next annual with my gynecologist, and they're like, oh, are you feeling weird? We'll just put you back on the pill. And I was like, no, I don't. I did that. I don't want to go back on the pill, dude. So that kind of is what happened to me. I talked to my GP about this, who I also loved, and he was like, well, maybe like a low dose of Prozac potentially. And I was like, no, I don't think that's it either. So anyway, I started kind of doctor shopping until I found someone who was really down to party with like my symptoms and talk about it, and who was educated. And it took me 4 gynecologists to finally settle. I was like Goldilocks, like my vagina was like Goldilocks, like I was looking for the right gynecologist. And I found a great woman, and she took me, she was just right. She goes to conferences, she's like really,
does research, asks questions.
Yeah, she listens to me. Anyway, so I know that we're not getting to the advice portion of my talk, but I would say
just
that
the path, because the path is many.
And I know like insurance is weird and not everyone has the opportunity to try to find a great doctor, but if you can, I would highly recommend like keep trying until you can find someone. I mean, it took me years to do this because I only am covered for like one a year. So I was like, okay, so this year, not that doctor. Next year I'll try a new one. Nope, not her either. But anyway, it took me some time. I found a great person. It's so important. Obviously, starting the conversation is important. But yes, this is basically kind of my origin story, which was what brought me to Weil, is feeling like these are symptoms I was having. I felt not like myself. I felt like I was like locked out of my house. Like I could look in through the windows, like I knew what was going on in there, but like I couldn't get in anymore. I didn't know who I was. I didn't feel like myself, and it was so frustrating. And no one was talking about this. No one wanted to talk about this. My friends didn't really want to talk about this. And my mom never talked to me about it. I mean, my mom's cool, but like I didn't grow up in a house that was very open about sex, about sexual health, about any of that stuff. Like I pretended to take the pill because of acne. Like it did not.
Getting laid all day long.
Hello. Yeah, whatever.
It's popular.
I did have an ugly duckling face, but when I came out of that, man, watch out, suburbs of Detroit, because it was on. Yeah, but you know, since I've had really great conversations with my mom about it, and I was like, you know, tell me about your experience. And she was like, I didn't have experience. I'm like, oh, because I remember you standing naked on a balcony in Michigan in January. Like, I think you were flashing. Like internally and the neighborhood. Yes. See, it's like it means two things in this situation.
I got it. After a minute.
I had extra coffee this morning. Yeah, so she did start to talk to me a little bit about it, and that was a conversation like I wish we could have had a long time ago. No big deal. It was interesting, too, when I started to talk to these other doctors about it, and the first question they asked me was, well, when did your mom have it? And I was like, well, she said she was 50. And they were like, well, you're not anywhere near 50. I'm like, you know, I know, but like it's starting, like things are changing, and like I shouldn't have to feel this way. No one should have to feel this way. And so that was what eventually brought me to Weil. Really long time, very close friends with my business partner, who just coincidentally was like starting this company, and he and I were talking about it, and his girlfriend Gwen, who's another one of our partners, called him about it, and so it was all really serendipitous. And again, seeing like a real space in the market for this, and knowing that as women, how much money do we spend on self-care and wellness? Like,
on candles.
like, I mean, yes, the candles, like, so many candles.
It's just not, I'm not getting smarter with the
I
candles.
know.
Brain fog is not going away with the candles.
I know, and we shouldn't have to feel this way. And really, like, when we're feeling overwhelmed and the brain fog and all the symptoms, I mean, I think there's something like 37 symptoms.
Yeah.
My knees were hurting, and I went to a knee doctor, and he was like, oh yeah, because you're perimenopausal, your cartilage is breaking down. I'm like, fuck you, man. Like, that too? Really? So now my knees hurt. Like, I wake up in the morning to like walk downstairs and take my dog out, and I'm like, ooh, it's a bad knee day today. Just add it to the list of shit I have to deal with because of my uterus. But it's also awesome because we're so cool because we're women and we can do a million things at once and men can't, no offense.
Brilliant. And I think it's also, we heard from, it's wonderful that you're talking about finding those doctors, because we had some unbelievable women on stage earlier today and yesterday who are those preventative health, pelvic experts, scientists who are like, you know what, your whole ovary's dying and people are acting like it's not a thing. Like it regulates sleep, it regulates, it's not just a little reproductive baby shack. Or
Yeah.
what? Like baby
Baby
factory?
shack. I like
a shack?
that. I like a baby shack.
I didn't mean to come out that way. But it and there's like a suggestion that maybe menopause is like a patriarchal construct that allows us to exit stage left at a certain age, not just the non-treatment of it.
Yeah.
The non-treatment silencing of it, which I participate in absolutely. I don't bust out.
It's a really, when you're a personality and you are like, you know, I find in Hollywood, like, it's super scary. I mean, when IMDb started listing people's ages, like everyone started freaking out. I mean, you read an article about an actor or an actress, most of the time it says in parentheses our age next to our name. Like, why the fuck do they need to do that? Why
Because
does
for
it
Leo,
matter?
they have to do it to make sure that Leo's girlfriends are of age.
I know. I mean, that ship has sailed for me. I'm happily married, but I was like, God, Leo. I mean,
No, just to make sure that the people are over 18, maybe.
I don't know. It's like the craziest thing to me. I'm like, why is that important? And I do also sometimes wonder, like, I always forget to do this, but I want to see if they write the age next to the man, or if they only write the age, like, often it's next to the woman, because I'm like, does it matter if I'm 47? Like,
For some
Judy
reason, we're
Greer,
obsessed.
47, loves her dog. Like,
I know. And her vagina, and her brain.
Yeah.
And so as we love our brain, can we get it back? Can there be some solutions? I think it's, and also just apropos of nothing, didn't you hook up with George Clooney in a movie?
early in my career, yes. In a movie called Three Kings.
Which is a great fucking film.
It's such a good movie. I think it's like, I think it's actually art, like actual art, like the Museum of Modern Art bought it or something. I remember, like there's a museum bought it, like, there's a story there. Yes,
If not for the brain fog, we'd be telling
I
it.
know. But it was one of my first jobs in Hollywood, and they flew me out. They were starting to shoot the movie. They flew me to Arizona to audition, and I got the part on the spot. They like cast me immediately. They were like, come into this hotel room. We're gonna start rehearsing the first scene in the movie. So I'm like, and they like bring me into a hotel room and put my stuff in one corner. And they're like, okay, you're in the bathroom with George, and Nora Dunn will come and bang on the door and walk in on you guys. Okay, go in the bathroom. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And I like walk in a bathroom, and George Clooney's there, like sitting on the edge of the tub, and he's like, pretty crazy, isn't it? Like,
Oh my God.
I know. And
That was like hook up right then?
I was like, Dr. Ross is talking to me.
You said Ross. Oh my God, we just showed Dr. Ross.
Dr. Ross. I was like, oh my
Who
God.
remembers Dr. Ross? Because that is like not showing, that's like putting your age next to the thing.
Oh, I know. Totally. Cursive, Dr. Ross. I know. I was just like,
So hot.
what's even happening? I know. And he was like, how's it going? I'm George. I'm like, I'm Judy. I'm like, I don't have enough money in my checking account to cover my checks that I've written. And here I am sitting in a bathroom in Casa Grande, Arizona with you.
Is he handsome in real life?
No, that's the thing about him. He's not good looking in real life. And nobody knows this.
I mean, is there a makeup artist involved? Or
Dude,
how does he sort it out?
Yes, he's so handsome. This is what he puts on his face. He puts like sea breeze on his face. Like that is it. Like,
Just to
and I'm
dry
like,
the shit out of
dude,
his
that is alcohol. That's just straight up alcohol you're putting on it.
Sea breeze?
I think, yeah, he used. I remember it was on Three Kings. He had sea breeze, and I was like, they even make that still? Like,
That's like from our teenage years
and
when
it
they
does
dried
smell-
everything.
Oh my god, I remember putting it on sunburns and then being like, why am I peeling everywhere? Like, anyway, yeah. No, he's so handsome.
I was just checking.
Yeah,
that's like the whole reason
Check.
I'm like, all the other stuff, I just want to know about that. But so
That's why I'm really
so
good.
here's interesting to me. Putting your name on a product, and I know how much you respect Weil as a company and
Yes.
see it see it as not the same thing that we've been marketed
Yeah.
in other spaces. But making that choice when you have, I feel like this is more of a soliloquy than a question. It's going to get to a question, but
Okay.
is that like you have profound trust from at least Gen X women. Like we
Thank you.
are like, she's that girl, right?
I'm your best
I
friend.
mean, there's
Let's
like
be
really,
honest.
and so it's the book, I know, but it's also like a reality. So if like Judy Greer says something's good, if other people not named say something's good, I'm like, cool, because you get bottom line, and I get it. It's part of the platform. It's part of the journey with a capital J. But it's when it comes to Judy Greer, if she puts her name on something, I'm like, okay, I'll buy that. And it's
Okay, thank
confusing
you.
to know what to buy. So
Yeah.
how do you choose to do that? Because I don't think you've done that so much with big companies.
No. I mean, I started taking this product, I think I already said it, like 6 months before. So I was taking it for a while. So, get it? It's called Weil. Sorry. Brilliant. I was taking
You need
it.
a faster interviewer.
I need to slow down is what I need to do. I was taking it for about 6 months, and I really felt it working.
Right.
So that is why. Ultimately, there was 2 reasons. One, that the product worked, which is the number one most important thing for me. And anything I post on my Instagram, I swear on the Bible, if you believe in that book, that I use it and I love it. And I'm not getting paid to do that. But this product I loved, and the second reason I wanted to work with it is because I felt like there was a conversation that needed to be had globally, at least in our country for sure, and for women to start embracing this time in our lives. And I feel that a lot in Hollywood, you know, obviously like one day I'm going to work and I'm the girl, or I'm the girl's best friend, and the next day I have like 3 screaming kids in a kitchen and I'm just like on the phone in every scene. And I'm like, wow, like, but there's so much more to women, and we're not, and we're just being kind of ignored. Another conversation I had with my mother that broke my heart, it wasn't that long ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and she was like, you know, when you get old, people just don't see you anymore. You're just ignored. And I was like, I mean, it's a little different for me because people recognize me, and so they come up to me kind of no matter what, but like that feeling I felt and what she said to me broke my heart. And I think of like, that is society. That is like this patriarchal society that we also have bought into by accident. And I just wanted to start this conversation, and I felt like being a part of this company could do that. The other thing that just recently, I know there's a lot of companies now popping up to treat these issues, and outside stuff, inside stuff. This was important to me because what I was so sick of doing was trying to keep up with like movie stars. And I know that's a weird thing to say because I am in movies, but like I feel like I'm trying to match this person I see on the page and on Instagram and in magazines and stuff. And like I'm so sick of people like treating age like it's something to be ignored or changed or like stop it happening. Like I want to feel better on the inside, and now I know that that will make me feel better on the outside. And so I just wanted to start this conversation, and this company is helping me do that so that we can all really like embrace ourselves, like solve these problems, deal with these symptoms, and like feel our best selves again. I mean, we're at like, our life is just beginning, and we have been sold this thing. Like I remember my mom, you know, my mom and dad turning 40, like these parties were like, there's tombstones on the front yard. And my friend was saying like that someone came dressed as a Grim Reaper to his mother's 40th birthday party. And it's like, no, dude, no. And like, and we're smarter than that, and we're better than that, and we have so much more information available. So I just am hoping that if products like this, if conversations like this are making me feel better, then I'm certain that it can make other people feel better.
I think I appreciate all of that very much because it is an interesting, the invisibility, and I feel like an asshole because when I was like 29 and popping, I did not contemplate whether I was seeing people who were older than I, and I that's shitty, and all y'all 31-year-olds see me. No, I'm just kidding. But I think that it is, in the U.S., we are often wallet activists, and I think that the idea of having celebrity, I'm sorry, you're a celebrity, and like you're pretty and you have like a platform.
Finish your thought.
Right? Can I braid your hair? And we can make friendship bracelets. But okay, so that plus good product, trustworthy product, plus like access to the product. The product has to be accessible and findable, is a good way to reach Americans. Americans are like, okay, because if you get a product, you're suddenly talking about the reason you get the product, and unless it's like disguised as something else. Like, I don't love the zillions of things in the drugstore that are like, this one's for your nails, this one's for your hair, and you're like, it's all the same product, but it's differently marketed. You said at one point that there's ingredients, there are things in the store, but you package them so that we know what to use with why. Like, you're giving us, which I think is, in terms of disinformation and confusion, that's very helpful.
I mean, we have several products for several different symptoms, so you don't take one pill for everything. If you're like, you can look on the website and you see we have like something just for like straight up perimenopausal support, which is something that you can take when you start to feel symptoms in your late 30s, early 40s. Like, this is a supplement. It's 2 pills a day, because another thing, I was like, please don't be making things that is like 6 pills a day. It's never happening. Like, nobody's doing that. The tinctures are amazing if you're someone who doesn't like to take a bunch of pills, or you're already taking a million supplements. Like, the tinctures are awesome. The powders are great. If you make a smoothie in the morning, throw it in there. Like, I wanted something that was, I wanted to be a part of something that was easy and specific. So I didn't feel like I'm asking my customer, or I'm asking myself to add so much more into my daily routine, because we're fucking busy and we already have a lot going on, and it's hard to remember all this stuff.
Right, it is.
Sorry I swear so much. If that offends you, I apologize.
I love it. It's also, I don't know if anyone up here there might have been a couple people who spoke today who didn't swear a lot, but I think mostly it was part of the brand for us.
Sorry about that.
But okay, so you have a lot of projects going on. I'd like to make sure everyone knows that Daisy Jones and the Six, the right Karen, it's fucking me up so badly. Listening to the TV show, which is a great TV show, awesome book, and the audio.
I did the audio book.
And she's Karen, and it's totally messing up several other people in the room who brought this up as well. And because she played the Karen. Does everyone know Daisy Jones and the Six? They're not paying us to say this. Okay, good. But the audio is amazing, and Queen Jennifer Beal plays Daisy, and Judy plays Karen. I highly recommend listening to the audio, not to pull away from the TV show, but it's so well acted. How do you choose your creative projects? Because that one was dope.
That one was easy because I loved that book, and also it was a pandemic, and I was stressing out, and I was just cooking way too much food, and it was like a little gift there was 2 audiobooks I did during the pandemic. Audiobooks are weirdly super hard to do. Are they? It's the craziest thing. You would think like we were just reading a book, whatever. No. It is like the director of your audiobook is so specific, and they'll be like, stop, you forgot A. And you're like, no, I didn't, but you did. And you don't even, it's just a very different animal that I wasn't used to. And I did one 100 years ago, and I was like, never again. And then a pandemic happened, and I'm like, what else you got? I'll do it. But it was so fun because it felt like I was reading a play. And this book, and then I did one by Max Brooks called Devolution, or is it Devolution? I didn't ever have to say that word in the book, so I don't know. But that was another one that we did like a sort of like a scripted audiobook where each person played different roles. And it was so fun. And yeah, like Taylor Jenkins Reid is amazing. And forever I'll read all of her books, and I'll do whatever she asks me to do ever.
But you also nailed that character, which is weird when it's just a voice. Like, or I don't know, the character feels so it's unfortunate. Suki's lovely, but feels like a bastardization of my Karen, who's like this chill, funny, but kind of like, I don't know. Whereas I don't feel like that's what I'm getting now, which is funny. It's just like when you, instead of being like when you read the book and the movie doesn't work for you, I'm like the audio to the movie doesn't totally work.
I haven't watched it yet, although I need to because
it's definitely not you.
It.
They messed that up.
Okay.
But okay, so how do you choose other stuff? You had your TV show. You've had a zillion projects.
A lot, that changes how I make my choices, changes and has over the years because there's different factors in my life that all change, and like I'm sort of in a place in my life, thankfully right now, where I like to choose things based on the people involved. And wanting to work with people that inspire me, that are not assholes, that are talented, that are gonna make me a better actor. I kind of been choosing projects that way. It's been like really so lovely to be able to kind of focus on that for a while, instead of like necessarily paychecks, which is always obviously a factor, but like things like where things shoot, sometimes is a factor. Whether or not I can bring my dog, sometimes a factor.
Hotels too.
Hotels. Yeah, I mean, I've been really lucky. A character that I haven't played, my friend Jenny Klein wrote this miniseries I did called The Thing About Pam. She also wrote Daisy Jones and the Six. And so in The Thing About Pam, I got to play this district attorney who was very intense. And that was a role, I'm shocked they offered it to me. I never get to do that. And it was such a stretch and it was so fun. That's awesome. So that was cool too.
I feel like you're playing a lot of different, you're not like sidekicking friend, or funny and you're all those things, but I feel like there's like a vaster, which you never hear that about, women who've been in the business for 20, however long.
Yeah.
Does it feel like there's opening up a lot of new stuff for you?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's one of the beauties about being a character actor is that I'm not trying to hold on to that thing. Like I was always moving around and, like you might know me from romantic comedies, but someone else knows me from an animated show I do called Archer. Like there's fans.
Archer is right.
Yeah, Archer's.
Family knows you.
Oh, good.
Children. My husband would be like, it's a cartoon. I was like, they're 5.
Yeah, it's not for kids. When I met my husband, he has kids, and he was like, oh, you're on a cartoon, I'll show it to the kids. I was like, no, don't do that. Not just yet. I got really lucky in that way. I think somehow, I think people think I'm pigeonholed or typecast, but I'm really not because I move.
I think people like working with you too, is what I'm told.
I'm told that too.
Yeah,
I'm going to make a change there, though. I'm going to start
you're working on
being
that?
really more difficult.
I was hoping you were going to get into that. Just be like that person.
I just want like a little more respect on set.
Yeah. Like green M&Ms only, like
something like that. I don't drive a nice car, and I feel like that's really working against me right now.
Right. That's
like people are like, you have to park at crew parking, which is across the street, and I'm always like, okay, but I'm not on the crew. But
then you were like all cool about it, and so they did it again.
I know, and then before you know it.
Yeah, then you're just that girl.
I know. I just park with the crew.
Okay, so in our like not wrap up, but we are talking about it is not that okay. So we at She Media are launching a health brand called Flow, and
congratulations.
Flow. Thank you. Meaning like I don't know. We thought of it. We talk about it. We'll see what we do. Exactly.
You're doing it.
But we're doing it, and it's the idea is whole life health, science, and stories. And one of the stories we like to ask people about is what helps them to achieve flow in the more sort of Buddhist zone of full immersion, mental, potentially physical immersion in an act or a experience, and being able to be very present tense. I think very hard for women because we have so many things, future, past, going on in our heads.
Yeah.
I wanted to know how you achieve flow, and I actually have an answer from one of your colleagues. So if you don't think of one, she has an idea.
Oh, I'm curious what she said.
I know, right?
I mean, I would say meditation.
Okay, that's like the primary. That's the one. Some people can't meditate. That's why
I can't, but I do it.
Okay.
It's like I'm terrible at it, but I'm committed to it. I meditated this morning. I do transcendental meditation, but there's like
mantra.
Tons, yeah.
What's your mantra?
I'm not ever gonna say it out loud. You're not supposed to ever say it out
Like
loud.
the overrule.
I know, although I was working with an actor once and he was like, oh, I do TM. And he was like, my mantra's, and he said it and I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I was like, ugh.
Voldemort, like don't say it.
But like one time my husband was like, what if we have the same mantra? And then we both said words out loud that rhymed with our mantra to test out. We do not have the same mantra. But I do that. I also am a knitter.
That's what your colleagues
Which
said.
is actually like, a great way for me personally to meditate. Because it is meditative. And I think sometimes, I don't know why I even meditate. I should just knit for 20 minutes twice a day. But I am really trying to be a consistent meditator. But knitting is so great. And I came upon it years ago when I was a smoker. Ew. I miss it though. I'm not gonna lie.
Let's go have a cigarette.
Okay. But I read in some article about if you're trying to quit, people say it's bad for you. I mean,
don't know
anyway.
why they think that.
I also think George Clooney's handsome.
People are crazy. The knitting is a great thing to do with your hands if you're trying to quit smoking. And I was like, oh, I'm on set all the time and I have lots of downtime and I travel a lot. This may be a cool hobby for me to take up. So I did. I started knitting 20 years ago and it's great. It's very portable hobby. It's very meditative. It keeps me from eating and smoking nonstop, and I will say too, when I travel so much for work, and everywhere I go, I can usually find a yarn store, and if you go to a yarn store and you buy something from them, they'll let you just sit there and knit all day. They don't care. Yeah, and so then you just immediately find a little community everywhere you go. I know, and I have yarn, I have knitting friends all over.
That's like a TV show or a movie or something.
Nothing would make me happier than doing a TV show about
Just
knitting.
weirdos
Trust me.
that, can you take a nap there?
Yeah, I think you could. Yes.
What a cool little community. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Does it turn into something, or is it just a long
Oh no, I knit all
knitting
sorts of
experience?
No, I mean there is that.
Is
that
there a sweater?
happens. There's many sweaters, hats, socks, scarves, lots of baby stuff. People who procreate in my life, the breeders usually will get a sweater or a blanket out of it.
Just now.
Yeah.
You just got to stock. You're like boom, boom.
But there have been phases in my life where I haven't been knitting that much, and I feel bad because some of my friends who had babies during my non-knitting phases are like, hey.
What happened?
So I guess my kid
qualify.
doesn't, yeah.
You just got a t-shirt.
Onesie. Okay, so final. We all talked about our flow spaces, and if you guys want to think about some of yours, we'd love to hear them. So spaces where you can find present tense and immersion, which I think is denied to inadvertently or whatever to women often. One that I see in you that is, well, it's one of mine, I'm not projecting on you, but is laughter. You seem to have really good friends, and you crack up together.
Yes. I think that's, laughing is having fun, being around funny people, being around interesting people, and being able to laugh at yourself, I think is key for me. And yes, having my time with my friends is really important. When I met my husband and we were just dating, he was like, it was really important for me to date a woman who had a lot of female friends. And I thought that was really cool of him to identify that. He was like, I want to be with a woman who's got a good set of girlfriends.
That's a great insight.
But he regrets that now because he
very low on the priority
loses
list.
me to my friends so many nights of the week. But hey, man.
Is that crack up? I feel like that's when I'm when it really hurts your,
Yeah.
That's where I'm I'm not thinking about tomorrow, yesterday, and that's flow. So thank you, dude, so much for all that you
thank
do.
you
You're
for
very
having me
popular,
here.
and
Thanks,
we
finally,
thank you.
popular.
I know.
I've been going for that.
I am. So if anyone wants to go like me on social, just kidding. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks
Thank you,
for hanging
Judy.
out.
Okay.
Thank you all.